Hi, folks. This is Tony Fapiano, and I'm coming to you from what is possibly one of the more beautiful spots in the town of Guilford on a fantastic, gorgeous day. We're taping this on, I think it's August 23rd. It's a Friday afternoon, and it's absolutely beautiful today. And actually, 24th, my cameraman, Donald Beckler, just corrected me, which he does on a regular basis, by the way. Good thing I have him.
I don't think that's a hard job, though, Tom.
There's a lot of room for improvement here, right? Anyway, the bottom line is that I'm with Bart Manzi, who is the owner of this establishment and this location. And what I'd like to do with Bart is to talk about his involvement, really, in lobstering, maybe from the time that he very began as a young man, all the way up to where we are today, and some of the changes that have taken place over the years. And Bart, I'll just remind you, some time ago, many years ago.
25 years ago was 1991, well, almost 25.
Yeah, we did a really nice program, I thought.
Yeah, we did it. We were out on the water. We did it on the boat, on one of the boats that I had. And I don't know where 25 years went, but they went. You still look good, Tone.
Just explain something to me, though. I have all this gray hair now. I didn't have any. And you don't have any.
Oh, they're in there. You got to look. They're in there.
They're in there. I don't know. I think you've been doing something about this. But in any event, Bart, thanks for letting us.
We're the makeup guy. You told me there was going to be a makeup guy here.
You took care of that already, didn't you? No, this is GCTV. This is what we call a shoot and show. This is basic stuff here. But I think it's going to be interesting for the community to maybe get a handle on what it is to be a lobsterman today, because you have some serious challenges compared to what it was 25 years ago when we first talked about this.
Yeah, 25 years ago is probably one of the best businesses to be in to be on the water. And then in 1999 we had a major die-off and caused by pesticides, and we lost probably 90% of our industry. And
wait a minute, let's explain that. Who spread the pesticides and why?
Well, the chemical company was Chemnova, Clark Mosquito Company, and a couple others. They were spraying for West Nile virus, and they used a chemical called malathion. It wasn't supposed to be used around any aquatic life, and it got into the water column, and eventually it decimated the lobster population.
And now when you say you lost 90% of the industry, what do you mean by that? 90% of the lobster people?
We lost 90% of the fishermen, and we also lost 90% of the lobsters.
So what happened to all these lobster guys? What did they do? Where did they go?
A lot of them are out of business. There's just a handful left on the shoreline, and a lot of guys turned to something else. We were fortunate. We got into the winkle, catching a winkle. It's a snail, and the overseas market just so happened to open up, and it was perfect timing. We switched over to mostly winkling. We still do some lobstering, but we're doing a lot of winkling right now. And then
well, relatively speaking, 25 years ago, when you went out, in the season, let's say, how many pounds of lobster would you have caught then versus what you're doing now?
My average year from in the 90s was probably 70,000 pounds a year. That's what I would catch.
And now?
If we catch 5,000 pounds right now, we're doing good.
Wow. Yeah. So you are down 90% or more.
Oh, more, yeah. The thing was, it wasn't based. What we caught was great, but what we threw back was even greater. Nobody saw that. We would pull traps up, and we'd take 3 or 4 keepers out of a trap and spend all day throwing back the small ones, and the Jaegers catch 13, 14, 15 in a pot. They know what we lost, the good ones, but they have no idea what they actually killed off the bottom there.
When did you get involved in lobstering, and how did you get involved?
I was 15 years old, and a friend of mine, his dad used to lobster in New Haven, and
the Vertirames?
Vertirame and Johnny Orso, yeah. And my friend said, "You want to come on the boat with me tomorrow? We're going lobster." I said, "Yeah, I loved it, because I love to fish anyways, love fishing and hunting and all that." So I went out, and I was like addicted. I got sick the first day, and I remember Johnny told his son, he said, "Oh, this kid will never be back." The next day I showed up, he was like, "Are you sure you want to go out?" I said, Yeah. So, and that was it. And ever since then, I did that for a couple of years. I started running one of the boats, and then 1981, I bought my own boat and went in business.
That's my cell phone going up. I always tell people, make sure you turn your cell phone off. I thought I turned mine off.
This is live. It's not.
Wait, hang on for a second, guys. Let me just turn this off. Okay, let me put this over here now. I apologize for that. Donald, did you pick that up? Yeah, move this way so you're not in the sun. Yeah, you want both of us in the shade. All right, so we're talking about you're a 15-year-old kid, and they say, come on out on the boat. And they thought you'd never come back?
Thought I'd never come back, but I showed up the next day.
Yeah.
And the next day was better, and then it just kept getting better. And I spent my summers working on the boats during high school breaks. And then when I graduated, I started running one of the boats. And then I did that for a while, and then I bought my own boat.
Yeah. Now, for lobstermen in those days to buy a boat, or even today, I guess there's nobody new coming into the business these days.
Well, back then, you just went up to Hartford, you bought a license, and you went fishing. Today, there's a moratorium on license. You can't get a license.
Oh, is that right?
The pots are so expensive, but you won't want to do it today anyways.
Yeah. What would it cost today to buy a boat? Like, what do you have? Why don't you describe what you have? Donald, can you get a shot of that in the background?
I had that boat built in '97, back when fishing was good. And that's a 42-foot boat with it's got a 600-horse diesel in it. A boat like that today will cost you probably $300,000 for something like that. Yeah.
With all the equipment that you have on it.
And that's not even going top of the line. That's just basic.
So that's prohibitive for a guy to start today, and then he's got to have a location.
Yeah, I mean, if he's looking for a tax write-off, it's a great business to be in.
Is that right?
Yeah. But yeah, it definitely wouldn't be something you want to invest in today.
Okay, so over the years now, or after '99, I guess you said, right? 1999. Okay. Now I'm going to play devil's advocate here. I have read articles where experts, supposed experts, have indicated that there may be other reasons why there aren't as many lobsters today as there were. Let me run down a couple for you. One being that the water is warmer now, global warming, and Long Island Sound is not as cool as it used to be.
I don't believe that. I mean, global.
Have you heard that?
Yeah, I've heard it. Yeah. Back in '99, when we first had this problem, we had people from the Lobster Institute in Maine come up because myself and Nick were both members of the board there, and we called this
Nick Chris Maldi.
Right, and we called up. We got called up one of the scientists, Bob Bear, and we told him what was going on down here because I was going out and I was catching lobster, and when I came in, half of them were dead. So we called up the Lobster Institute. They sent down a scientist. We set up a makeshift lab upstairs in there, and he started running tests, and he found that there was a chemical in the tissue that was affecting the nervous system. And that was it.
So as far as you're concerned, that was definitely the cause.
Yeah.
All right, let me throw another one at you. Again, so-called experts have indicated that because there are restrictions now on blue fishing and striped bass fishing, right, that there are more of those fish in the water. You can't bring the smaller ones or the real big ones in right now, right? Because there's more of them in the water, they are eating the eggs, and they are therefore reducing the population of the lobsters.
They're not eating the eggs; they're actually eating the lobster.
The lobster. Have you heard that?
Oh, it's a fact. You open up their bellies, and that's what they feed on.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So could that have actually been a cause in 1999 for the reduction in the lobster population?
No, that wasn't the cause.
And you're convinced of that?
Positively, 100%.
Okay, now you were involved with all of the lobstermen in a position of authority, actually. You had some sort of an association.
Right. Myself and Nick, we represented the Connecticut side, and there was a couple of fellows from New York that represented the New York side. And we filed a lawsuit against the chemical companies. We ended up winning. We won, but we didn't win what we were supposed to win. It wasn't life-changing what we won.
A lot of guys went out of business. Were they compensated?
Absolutely. Yeah, they were compensated, but it didn't make up for their loss. It was nowhere near what they lost.
And now you say there's a handful of lobstermen left on the shoreline. Like how many today versus how many then?
Well, at one time there was 700 licenses in Connecticut.
Really?
Right. From right now, I'd say from Bridgeport to Saybrook, if there's 8 or 10, that's a lot. Full-time guys.
Okay. Now you've indicated that your catch, the number of pounds that you catch in a season, is down from whatever it was, 70 down to maybe 5,000. What does that do to you? I mean, what does that do to you economically? I know you're a family man. I know you have kids.
Well, we had to resort to other fisheries, and thank God we were able to catch the snails, the winkles, and. There's an overseas market.
Winkles, you mean that's like the big conch? It's like a periwinkle.
It's a periwinkle. They make a scungili salad. The Italians call it scungili. And a great overseas market opened up in it, and we're getting a really good price for it. And we're actually doing just as well with the scungili as we were doing with the lobster.
Okay. Now, has the decimation of the lobster population, has that also affected other fishermen? There's other commercial fishermen in this harbor right now.
Right.
Were they impacted by that?
Well, yeah, they had a 100 piece limit. They used to go out and catch 100 pieces in their net every day as a bycatch, and
100 pieces of
lobster.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's 120, 130 pounds of lobster a day. You know, at $3-4 a pound, that it pays for their help and their fuel and their insurance and whatever. You know.
What do the other guys do here? They're not all lobstermen.
No, they commercial fish. They catch porgies. They'll catch bluefish. They catch us bait.
I saw the guy with the big crabs in the morning over there, the older gentleman in the pickup truck.
Oh, yeah.
He's got the horseshoe crabs.
Yeah, he uses them for, he was another lobsterman. He started lobstering down here in the late 50s.
Is that right?
60s, yeah. And
we've had a lot of conversations with him. You see us walking in the morning, yeah.
And he's doing the same thing. He's winkling now.
Is he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was telling me that he was getting something like $2.50 a pound or something for the periwinkles.
Yeah.
And why am I paying $12 a pound when I go to get it?
Well, you're paying for them out of the shell, all cleaned and stuff. So that's a big difference. There's a lot of
Four times though.
Yeah, well, it's a lot of work. We got to make a little bit of money, Tom.
I guess you do. All right, a lot of people in Guilford don't know this, but my nickname from the old neighborhood is Squingile.
I didn't know that.
Now, Donald didn't know that. We're talking to Donald Beckler, who's doing our... You didn't know that?
I didn't know that.
I'll never live this
How
down.
many years I've known you, I didn't know your nickname was Squingile.
I'll never live this down. And that's, I do love Squingile salad.
All right, we'll have to see if my wife will fix you up a batch.
All right, you're running a business here. Who's involved with you here?
My wife, my daughter, my niece, a couple of friends. Yeah.
You got it going. All right. Well, you got, like I said in the beginning, this is a fabulous location. I mean, if nothing else, you come to work at a great place.
Yeah, it's we're here every day. We kind of lose fact of what we really have because we just take it for granted because we're here every day. But we get people that come out from the Midwest and stuff like that, and they sit here and they're in awe. They think they're on an island somewhere, but
yeah. In fact, I was here last week as a customer, and there were some people from Massachusetts here had come for the first time.
Right.
They couldn't believe where they were. They thought they were in heaven.
Yeah, they said, "Oh, this is like Nantucket or one of the islands." So,
yeah. Well, that's what I think is really neat of the town of Guilford too. When you come down to the Marina District, you have obviously, which is a big thing. The Guilford moorings. Right. You got the marina itself. You got Grass Island, and unfortunately, we're losing the Stonehouse.
We're losing our.
Is that going to happen?
As far as I know, it is. But you never know. Things can change.
Yeah, you hear all kinds of rumors right now that it's supposedly going to sell, it might sell, and I know you probably don't want to comment on it because you're pretty close to these guys. I assume.
I mean, we're going to miss them guys if they do sell. And people say, "Oh, that's good for you." No, it's not good for me. I think the more that's down here, the more, the merrier. It's just. People come down here to bring their cooler and sit and have a lobster roll. They intended on coming here. They didn't intend on going across the street.
Exactly.
And when they want to go across the street, that's where they're going to go.
They want to have dinner and sit down. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but
no, you're right. I just think that it's unfortunate that we're losing that really important, beautiful spot again at the town marina. But it is what it is, and they've made a decision, a business decision.
Exactly. I mean,
they did what they had to do.
He did what he had to do,
and I can appreciate that.
Yeah.
With respect to the traffic in this area, do you get people from out of the area that come by and visit and that sort of thing?
Oh yeah, we get people that come by boat all the time. We get kayakers, and we even get get a lot of locals, and we get a lot of locals that even thank us because they come down here. They were never really able to enjoy the harbor. You come down here, you drive down to the stone wall, you look in the water, you look at it Faulkner's for 5 or 10 minutes, and then you drive away. Now they get to bring their wine or their beer, and they come and sit here for an hour, and they can enjoy.
I was going to mention the beer. I thought maybe there would be a little something here. No, huh?
Yeah, we can do it after the show. Tom, we'll do something for you.
Actually, that is something really nice thing about this. Now, you're not alone in this business either. You have other lobstermen that are trying to survive and doing similar things in other. Yeah,
a lot of them have turned over to the catching the winkles too, and some are doing gill netting and whatever it takes. The guys want to make a living on the water. Once you're on the water making a living, it's tough to go
get a real job somewhere.
Else. Yeah, so we're gonna try and do whatever we could to stay on the water, and that's the bottom line.
All right, now the lobsters that you catch is that what you serve here? I mean, does that fit?
So we don't.
Did you use them all here, or
we
do you
don't-
have customers also?
Yeah, we don't catch nowhere near enough to supply what we need. So we buy a lot of stuff out of Canada or Maine
Oh, you do.
to fill in for what we need.
Yeah. So you have guys like Garbo from down far east over there. They go up to what, Nova Scotia?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, what do you think the average person would want to know about your business? I mean, you've been doing it now since you were 15. You said. I mean, in terms of it's a dying trade. I just hate to say it. I hate to say it.
Breed. I know it's definitely dying. You know, the DEP talks about all these things that are endangered. This fish is endangered. This is endangered. This species endangered. The biggest endangered species is a lobsterman.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, when you go from 700 to a handful, that's an endangerment to me.
When you were settling with the state or with the chemical companies, you and Nick and others in the association?
There was basically four of us. There was, like I said, there was two representatives from New York, Nick, myself, and the lawyer team. We had lawyers from Louisiana.
Okay, now how did you do that? Did you actually go to meet with legislators first? I mean, how do you start that process?
We had actually the lawyers found us through all the articles and stuff. The lawyer that we had represented a party down in Louisiana. It had something to do with butterflies. I'm not sure exactly, but this company used some kind of chemical and it killed the butterflies and stuff. And they went after this firm went after the chemical company, and he won. And he saw all the articles. He called us up and he said, "I'd like to come up and meet with you." And we went to a bunch of different law firms, and everybody wanted big money up front, just to take the case,
To represent you.
to represent us, and
Well, they figured you had how many lobstermen they were representing back
Right.
then? Yeah.
but
700 licenses.
yeah. So this gentleman, this lawyer came up from Louisiana. He said, "Listen, you guys don't have to put up any money." He says, "I'll put up everything." He said, "If we win, we win. If we lose, we lose." He said, "But I think we got a good case." And 8 years later, we settled.
And a lot of guys, as a result of the settlement, either went to some other job or retired completely.
Well, a lot of guys were gone while the process was going on. There was a lot of them couldn't hang on that long.
Did they benefit from the settlement, even though they had dropped out?
Yeah, they still benefited.
They still did.
But like I said, it was nothing. It was nowhere near what we should have got.
All right, so you've seen that change now in 15, 16 years, go from what it was to what it is. Do you see it reversing at some point? Do you see Long Island Sound recovering and therefore the lobster population improving?
I really don't. I can't say it's ever going to come back the way it was. There's not a big stock there to breed from, and there's no big body of lobster anymore, unless they come in from somewhere, either the ocean or from the west somewhere through the gates. I don't know. I like to be optimistic. I'm an optimistic guy, but you got to be realistic sometimes too. So.
Yeah, and by the time if it does happen, that might take more years. You're not that young anymore, Mark.
No, you don't have to tell me. I can feel it.
Yeah, but now, what is your typical day like when you are out lobstering, and how many days a week do you do that?
Right now we're fishing between 6 and 7. We're here probably 4:15 getting bait and stuff on the boat. We leave by 5, and we're back by 1:30, depending on the day.
And at that point, how many pots would you have pulled
Somewhere in the neighborhood of 400.
in a day?
Yeah.
Wow. And 400 a day, 6 days a week, and you're only getting 5,000 pounds of lobsters?
We're not doing the lobster that much. We're basically doing the winkles. We're doing the lobster maybe 2 days a
So
week.
you're doing both simultaneously,
Yeah.
doing lobsters and periwinkle.
And periwinkles, yeah.
And who are your customers for the periwinkles?
It's a big overseas market. The Asians are buying them all.
Is that right?
Yeah, they process them. They pick them up. They
pick them up here?
They pick them up at we have a drop point that we drop them to. They pick them up there. They process them in New York. They freeze them, and then when they get enough for a container, they put them on a plane and they go right overseas.
And then they come back here for the customers, for the American customer. Wait a minute, you catch them here. They go to New York. They put them on a plane. They bring them to China or wherever they bring them. Then they come back here.
Not only they come back here, they don't let anything come back. They're eating them.
Oh, they're eating them there.
Yeah, they're
Okay,
eating them there.
so where are the ones that we are eating here locally? Where does that come from? The restaurants that serve Squingili salad.
Oh, some of them are coming. Some of them are staying here, but 90% of them are going overseas.
And
yeah.
don't come back.
Don't come back.
Okay, I misunderstood you.
Yeah,
All right. Yeah, that's interesting. All right, so bottom line here is you got what appears to be a really nice business, but I would think because of weather, obviously, it's seasonal.
Oh, it's yeah. We open up the first week of May and we close Columbus Day. We'll close Columbus Day weekend.
Now, we got some customers over here. How are the lobster rolls? Are they? All right, where are you from?
We're from Glastonbury, Connecticut.
Where?
Glastonbury.
Glastonbury. Oh, all right.
I had relatives who grew up in Guilford and came down every weekend.
Wait a minute. You want to go on camera?
Briefly.
Come on over here.
Oh.
My microphone. I have limitations with this microphone.
She
Come on.
had the relative, so I'll stay.
Do you know the Burchell family? Any of the Burchells?
Wait a minute. So,
No.
what's the last name?
Burchell.
Give
No.
a shout out to the Burchell family.
Yeah. Well, say hello. Are they from
Darwin,
Guilford?
Dwayne, Daryl, Dennis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
your name?
Barbara.
Barbara. And you're
Yeah.
from Glastonbury.
Glastonbury.
So how'd you find out about this place?
Well, we've been coming to the mooring a couple times, and when I was young, we used to get together with our cousins, and they used to swim across the canal, and I would be afraid of the horseshoe crabs, which you don't see them too much. I mean, horseshoe crabs. So.
Well, there's a guy here that actually uses them for bait. When I see his truck, he's got a bunch of them there. I don't know where he gets them, but
So
he
anyway,
usually traps for
I
that.
just have a long history of being here with cousins every weekend and going out boating, and
Yeah. So what do you think of this location?
it's beautiful.
Isn't it fantastic?
Yes, I would love to live
This
in
is the guy you
Guilford.
can thank. Have you met Bart?
No, I haven't.
Well, Bart's
meet
responsible
you.
for all of this.
Yeah, nice to
Which
meet
was
you.
no small undertaking,
yeah.
as you can imagine.
So anyway, it is. It's a great place, and it was a delicious lobster roll. Yeah.
Okay, Bart,
Yeah.
thank you
Yeah,
so much. We talk to anybody that doesn't run away from the microphone. You're next. No. Anyway, well, I think we met somebody from that part of the from Massachusetts last week. Said pretty much the same thing. They had never been here. First time they had known about it or heard about it, and here they are. Well, again, I give you a lot of credit for what you've done here. This is all of your dock now.
Yeah, we did the dock we did the first part in 2007, and then we did the pier in 2008. We did it in 2 stages.
And we've had a couple of pretty serious storms in the last 5 years. How were you impacted by that?
Well, we lost some boards and we had some damage, but considering what everybody else, the damage everybody else had, we were pretty fortunate.
Yeah, but that's got to be a concern for you too, because you have flood insurance here. I mean, what protects you?
Well,
That's no small expense.
no, I
Not
mean
these days.
on the water, to be on the water, it's expensive, and so you got to deal with it.
Yeah. And as far as doing all of this, you had to go through, I assume, a lot of regulatory
Yeah, we had
bureaucracy as well.
It was DEP, Army Corps of Engineers, Inland Wetland. There was a half a dozen different departments, but the town was behind us 100% on everything, which made it easier. They helped help the process along. So
Okay, talk about the Charlie Moore. Is he in today?
he's out.
Okay, tell us about the Charlie Moore. What is it?
Charlie Moore, he's Bill Busman. He does he's got a little charter boat. He runs 1 hour tours, I think 11, 12:30, 2 o'clock, and 3:30. And does a 1 hour tour. He takes you off the coast of Madison. He goes up the Neck River, the East River. And it's pretty nice,
It's neat.
a real simple trip.
It's
I
neat.
think he's charging.
I go to Booth Bay Harbor. I
$10.
look for stuff like that.
Yeah, it's there again. You can bring your own bottle and bring your own food, and
Yeah.
he'll rent it out to you if you want to do a private cruise.
And that's a relatively new addition to your
This is
fleet
his,
here, because that's
I think he's
been
here
3 years.
4 seasons now. This is
Four
fourth season. Yeah.
Yeah. And I noticed I never saw this guy before. You have Lucky Lou's Fishing Charters. Is he new this year?
No, Louis been here. Louis been here since the dock has been here. So
Oh,
he's been here since 2008. Yeah.
But he says something new. He's got a seal watch. I didn't know we had seals.
Yeah, they used to come in the cold months, and they would leave by probably the first week of June or so, end of May. Now there's probably 12 or 15 of them that are on Goose Rocks, right northwest of Faulkner's. And if you go there at low tide, that's when you're going to see them.
So he takes charters out into that area there, and he's also fishing.
And he does fishing trips. And
Well, again, I think it's just an absolutely beautiful location. I think it's a fantastic addition to to everything that you're adding as the years have gone on here, the things that you've done to improve this location. And the town of Guilford should be very pleased with what you've done and the way you've improved the marina area. This district is just beautiful.
And I'd like to thank the town for all their help and all their support.
Yeah. Were they supportive as you were trying to make changes and add things?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, they were very supportive here all along the way. I mean, when we first got here, it was just a rickety old building here and a broken dock, and we put some money into it, but it worked out nice. It worked out well.
Yeah. And now the building is new, the dock is new, and the owner's getting to be rickety and old.
The only thing that's rickety is me.
Bart, thanks so much. I appreciate the time.
I can't believe 25 years went by.
No, it's unbelievable. We did another one in between, I think, when you were actually in that process of trying to get things settled for the local fishermen. Okay. I spoke to you and Nick, I think, out in the front here somewhere.
Okay,
yeah. That was in between.
Memories are going too.
That happens. But if that's all that goes, you'll be all right. Thanks, Bart. And we want to thank Donald Beckler, our cameraman, your trusty cameraman and director. Donald, did you get some good shots of this? I mean, even you are going to make this look beautiful, right? How could you go wrong? All right, and I think he's got an order to go. You're going to fill something for him to go. Bart, thanks so much. I appreciate it.